Jenny Aitchison, the Shadow Minister for Regional Roads and Transport. Thanks for joining us on the Flow Network again.
Thanks for having me, Ricky.
You've been talking for a while, the opposition. I think since Mr Minns became your opposition leader, he's really been on the warpath about speed cameras and the signage and the revenue raising. Seems you've had a win, is that right?
Yeah, so we're claiming it as a win. We'd like to see a little bit more work on this. Obviously, the government has conceded that warning signs do work to change driver behaviour and make our roads safer, and that by having secret cameras, they weren't doing anything except making a blatant cash grab.
Yeah, well, there was a pretty incredible increase from memory of the revenue the government had made since they'd removed the warning signs. Well, do you have a handle on those figures?
Yeah, so since January 2021, the government had collected some $20 million. So even in May, you had the highest month on record. In 1 month, they collected $4 million. Now, these are for low-range speeding offences, so that's up to 10 kilometres an hour. And the thing that really annoys me as a regional MP is that I was still getting complaints from members of the public about speeding on roads. So it wasn't actually addressing the dangerous behaviour that is of concern to ordinary members of the public.
Yeah, there's often a concern that speed cameras, there's often the saying speed cameras save lives comes from the police, but there usually isn't any better substitute than the visibility of police on the roads, is there?
That's right. And when you have more policing, you have a very direct correlation between speeding over the limit and, getting a fine. So people make that connection very quickly. Getting a letter from Transport for New South Wales a couple of weeks down the track, it doesn't actually address that behaviour.
Yeah, and that signage is, I guess, some sort of substitute if you can't get police everywhere. At least it warns people there's a speed camera coming up rather than, as you say, getting a bill a few weeks later.
Yeah, that's right. And the problem that with the partial backflip that we're calling it, that the government's done, is they've only made that concession around the fixed sign. So we will go back to having fixed signs, but there still is the capacity for some of those mobile speed cameras not to be actually signed. So and always our message is, please people, slow down, don't speed, but don't rely on this because, they will still be out there. But really, the thing that should be driving behaviour is signage and letting people know that they need to obey the speed limits. Because we know that sometimes people, they've been driving for a while or they get a bit distracted. It's easy to go up a couple of kilometres. So we need to just keep people aware of the speed limits.
There's a bit of irony from my memory here with this topic because when Labor was in office for some time, the Liberal Party made a virtue of criticising speed cameras being used for revenue raising. They said there'd be an Auditor-General investigation into whether they've been placed in places that are actually saving lives or just revenue raising. It seems the shoe's now on the other foot. Well,
this is really the issue with the government. So the Nationals and the Liberals, they always want to talk a big game. They want to talk about having transparency in government. What we're seeing is that that's not the reality when they're in government. They actually don't keep their promises.